All right. Well, here we are on Wednesday afternoon of RSA Conference 2024, our series of cyber CROs in a Cybertruck. We're driving around downtown San Francisco with a crazy traffic right now, but we're with Mike Barker, who is the Chief Commercial Officer at Hyas.
That's right.
Mike, welcome to the Cybertruck.
So happy to be here. Could not be more excited. What an amazing way to spend some time at RSA.
I know, it's so different than everything else we do, right? How have your days been so far? Slammed with meetings, I hope?
Days have been slammed. They've been nonstop from morning to evening. Unfortunately, the evenings feel shorter and shorter and the mornings feel earlier and earlier, but it's been fantastic. A lot of great meetings, not just with clients and partners and some of our folks that we work with closely, but also getting to know some of our friends from the industry and hanging out with some old people.
Yeah,
great.
It's a great opportunity to do all of that, right? Tell me about your first ever RSA conference.
Wow, yeah, first RSA. I was very junior. I'm going to date myself here, but very junior in my career, still on the networking side, just getting into the edge of security and firewalls and intrusion detection and et cetera. I remember walking into the hall the first time with this amazing, overwhelmed sensation. Growing up my career, going to shows like Interop and other of those large shows, and then you come to an RSA, and it's like it is another world, completely another world. And then you realize just the level of expertise that the folks that are here bring. It's insane. It's really humbling. It really is.
There are some great people in cybersecurity, right, who deeply understand the space and know what it needs and what it takes to succeed as well. And it's awesome to meet everyone at such a big gathering in a small place, right?
It reminds you of how small the community is, but it also reminds you of how important what we're doing in cybersecurity really is for just our way of life, what we do all across the world. It's pretty amazing.
So RSA or Black Hat?
That's an age-old question. It's almost like a political debate. I can't believe you're going to do that to me here. I like the Black Hat side of it. I saw something interesting on LinkedIn around, kind of the dress code of RSA versus the dress code of some others, right? And of course, I'm sitting here in a sport coat, but, you get a lot of the more, I view a lot of the practitioners and more of the folks that are doing it at Black Hat. RSA feels a lot like there's a lot of vendors walking around. We're doing a lot of talking to each other. So I'd probably lean a little bit more towards Black Hat.
Okay. When you look at your team this year, Mike, and what you're asking them to do, would you prefer that they find more deals at a lower dollar value or less deals, but at a bigger dollar value?
To me, that's an interesting question. And it's going to be, it depends. So I can answer for my team, but the reason why it depends to me is it really depends on where you are as a company and your journey, right? What's important at a very early stage, whether it's Series E, seed stage, what have you, versus where you are when you're either Series C, public, what have you, it's very different what you need right then. For me right now, we launched a channel partner program. We're going all in, partner first and channel first. So for me, I want to get as many of those opportunities can scale up through our channel partners. I don't care the size of them. I just want to get that adoption and those wins, so I know they'll just keep going. So that's what's important for me right now. That's going to help me maintain my revenue as we go out and we continue to hunt those massive, large deals that are still out there. They're still happening, but I need that recurring revenue that's going to help me get through each stage of my quarters.
What are you proudest of with your new channel program that you think partners will really latch onto and love?
I think it's the fact that, we've really decided to kind of go all in with our partners, which means we spend a lot of time searching out those partners that believe in what we believe in. We got to make sure that we're aligned on what we're going after and the problems that we're solving. Once we find those partners and we believe in the same things, it's the amount of time we spend making sure that they're enabled, they're onboarded, they're empowered. We're doing sales calls together. We're doing pipeline conversation reviews. Really want to make them as enabled and as successful as possible as soon as we can. So what we've seen is our partners can come on board, register deals and close deals, even shorter sales cycles than we were seeing originally.
Oh, really?
Which is fantastic. Yes.
What'd you put that down to then?
It's really around those partners being what I said to the team initially is we need to find partners where we're critical to their business. We're critical to their success. So we've got to find partners that when we talk about their revenue plans and their strategy for the years, we've got to be a part of that strategy. If they don't even mention around the types of things that we're solving for, we know we're not strategic, and it's going to be opportunistic. And opportunistic isn't going to get us more of those deals registered, and it's not going to get us revenue in the door.
What sort of partner is going to see Hyas as being strategic for them?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's those partners that are focused on a couple aspects. One, we're really big in aspects of critical infrastructure. So whether or not we're talking financial, healthcare, government DoD, et cetera, but also, we've had a strong pull, a little bit more down market from MSPs and MSSPs. And so we've seen a really strong and success rate with those folks. And then finally, we believe that DNS, what is core of the internet, is also core in cybersecurity and should be part of your stack and how you look at and leverage how adversaries are building command and control. And partners that understand, get that, they take it immediately, and we've seen very fast success with them.
Now, you've dropped in a few terms in that description about partners that lead me towards asking the question. So if I was a CISO at RSA and I bumped into you and I asked you the question, Mike, what does Hyas do? How would you answer that question?
Yeah, it's my favorite question, right? It's like, here's our opportunity to give that quick elevator pitch and sell them on what we do. Hyas is unique. We've got access to data that is very unique for us that most around the world don't have. As I mentioned before, we like to look at what is core to the functioning of the internet, which is DNS. We also believe that most of our adversaries, they set up infrastructure within their targets way before it's ever launched or weaponized. So once it's in there, it just sits there dormant until they decide to do something with it. So what we do, because of this access to this unique data, we build an adversary infrastructure platform. And based on that platform, we have a couple different offerings. One around that we leverage our fraud teams or your SOC teams. They can go out and do anything around IOCs and investigate, and we can track it all the way down and help them understand. The other side of it is protective DNS. We can help with protective DNS to measure and monitor your endpoints and make sure that the traffic that's leaving your organization is going where it needs to go and is not being weaponized by an adversary.
Is there one use case in there that prospects tend to latch onto as a starting use case? They go, let's go with that first. Is there a powerful one there?
Yeah, absolutely. It really is on the protective DNS side. We're seeing a lot more cybersecurity insurance carriers. We're seeing a lot more regulations or regulatory around cybersecurity, around protective DNS. So making sure that we're protecting those endpoints, and we have ways to deploy those within seconds across an entire enterprise so that they've got coverage immediately.
Let's say I was a more junior seller inside the Hyas sales team, and I came to you and I said, Mike, I really want to invest in myself. I want to get better and get better results in what I'm doing. And they've got two options. One is, would you tell them, go learn more about our products and how they work and the problems they solve and things like that? Or would you say, go learn more about our prospects and their daily lives and their fears and frustrations and what gets them hired and fired? What do you think is the most productive use of that salesperson's time?
For me, I've always been a big believer on the second half of that, which is you've got to bring value to the prospects you're talking to. You've got to bring value, a point of view, especially as you mentioned around, are we talking to a CISO or are we talking to an analyst, right? But I can say a majority of the CISOs that I've run into this week, they're looking at things like, how do I make sure I protect the business? How do I make sure I save revenue or save our costs? And then extremely importantly, how do I make sure I'm compliant? So how do I go and have conversations with CISO? How do I understand their business? How do I understand and bring value to them around what else is happening in their industry that I can help them have conversations with? And one thing I love to tell my junior sellers is your job is to make sure you help them have conversations with their executive team and their boards. That's what they're looking for. I've been a CIO myself, and some of my best relationships with my vendors have been those that came and said, hey, did you realize that CIO over at this part of your industry is doing this or they're doing this? And really able to give me perspective that I wasn't necessarily getting.
All right. Love that. Love that. What's one thing that's widely believed in sales and marketing that you think is complete bullshit?
So, it's interesting. We talk a lot about, demand gen. I'm unique in that I'm responsible for the entire go-to-market side, right? So I've got sales and marketing. And I think it's phenomenal because we're measuring everything from lead and pipeline generation from the marketing aspect all the way down through what I like to call, the plumb line, as you and I have chatted about in the past. That's really important to the team and to I. What I think is challenging or is honestly is absolute bullshit is the amount of money that people believe they have to spend on marketing in order to get inbound opportunities and inbound leads.
Okay.
Driving outbound is very different in this environment. We've got so many cybersecurity companies today. We're all trying to make a mark for ourselves and we're all trying to say something different while at the same time using the same damn buzzwords, right? We're all talking, look at RSA this year. We're all talking about AI. You've got the next generation's, AI SIMs, and you've got all this. It's like, it's just alphabet soup. So doing nothing and spending increasingly more on outbound, I think is really, really driving a different level of problem. And people aren't seeing the level of return on that we've seen in the past.
Yeah. It's I'd hate to be in the shoes of someone who's a buyer trying to make sense of where the boundaries are and the overlaps and who does this well and that well, and things like that. And that's, I guess, why they turn to each other, What's your experience with this company? Did they deliver what they were saying they were going to do? Does the product work? Things like that. I can see why that would be an attractive thing for them. Let's have a different conversation though, Mike. Let's play a game. The game is called Sizzle or Fizzle. Is this thing, I'm going to say, is it going to sizzle? It's hot. It's going to continue to be hot for a long and storied period of time, or is it going to fizzle out into nothing very quickly?
My.
You ready?
I'm ready.
First one, this Cybertruck.
I've loved the ride so far. I think you're an amazing driver and host. I don't see it keep going. I'm a big truck guy myself. It's not my thing. It's Fizzle.
Yeah. Because of what? It's just a little bit weird, or?
It's weird. It doesn't feel practical. To me, you buy a truck in order to do certain things, to tow,
it has function beyond just getting from A to B.
That's exactly it. And this feels, I love the tech. I'm a techie, but this doesn't feel functional as a truck. I want a pickup truck. This to me is what we would call a city truck.
Okay. Disparagingly.
Very much so.
Next, Fizzle or Sizzle. Palo Alto's play to be the platform in cybersecurity.
Look, Palo Alto is an amazing company. They've had a long journey, right? A lot of my old friends and colleagues that I've worked with in the past over my career, I spent a lot of time at places like Juniper Networks and Extreme Networks and others. Many folks over their time have ended up at Palo Alto. I think what Palo Alto has done amazingly well is the focus on the platform. We're seeing a lot of consolidation happening in the market right now. We're seeing a lot of focus from buyers on buying a platform plays, just because it's so much easier to go in and have a conversation, also know who you're getting it from. So I actually think they're going to be very successful in the platform play. So Sizzle.
Good. You trying to do a partnership with them? Is that why you said that?
Not today.
Similar line of questions. So if you look out 5 years, who is going to have the bigger market cap? Is it Palo Alto or is it CrowdStrike?
Oh, interesting. Palo Alto versus CrowdStrike. What I think is interesting about the two of them, especially if you look at comparatively how they kind of came up in the market and you've seen a lot around, obviously Palo Alto being very strong early on, selling hardware, right? That's what they kind of grew up on. They're continuing down that path, obviously doing a lot more SaaS and platform, a lot more cloud services. But you look at CrowdStrike and the types of services now that they're offering. And I've got to tell you, I'm really encouraged by their strategy and how they're going to market and what they're focused on. I think CrowdStrike's is in it to win it, and they're going to give them a run for the money.
That's good. So which one though? You can't just say.
I'm going to put my money on CrowdStrike.
Okay. Love it. Different company. Who's going to have the bigger valuation in 5 years? Palo Alto or Wiz?
Oh my, Wiz, the wonderkin right now. That recent valuation. Oh my goodness.
They can't walk down the street because their pockets are so full of cash right now.
And you walked through RSA. Did you see the booth?
I haven't seen it.
My, that was a sight. They I don't know. They feel like they're in a situation now where they just can't lose, right? Everything they're doing,
High
just seems
confidence, right?
extraordinarily kind.
Yeah.
Look, we know that
And
carries
fair
you.
enough. Yeah.
It carries you a long way, but also they kind of deserve it. So right now it's theirs to lose. I know a lot of really good people over there who are helping them do what they're doing, and I have nothing but amazing faith. So I think they're going to be a force to reckon with, and I would put my money there.
Yeah, so I think the critical time, I think, what do I know? But it seems like in the next 2 or 3 years is going to be critical because they're going to have to use this cash to acquire companies.
Yes.
The gaps are big strategic plays for them. And when you acquire companies, a lot can go wrong.
Integration is tough.
It's tough.
Integration is really tough. But they've got the team to do it.
Yeah, okay. You feel confident?
I do. I think they've got the team to do it.
Yeah, it's not their first rodeo either, right?
Not at all.
They've been together and done various things over a while. It'd be great to see what's going to happen. It really will. I feel like there's so much momentum behind them, but Palo Alto are no slouches, though.
And they've tried and true. They've done it. They've done it enough times. But I think, like we talked about, the leadership team at Wiz, I think, like you said, the next couple of years. But look at the time period now that Wiz is growing through with what's happening in the market and a lot of the consolidation, even some of the valuations of the companies that are shifting right now. They're in a prime opportunity to be able to pick up some companies at a steal right now.
They're doing things at a very difficult time. This is not 2018 where, POs were falling out of the sky.
That's exactly right.
It's a very different time. So yeah, it's really cool to see. What do you think is a bigger waste of money? This Cybertruck or a booth at Black Hat?
Oh my. Wow. I might actually have to go with the booth because at the end of the day, there is some functionality here. We're having a good time. We're driving around the city, right? We could pick up food. You can take me to the airport. I could catch my flight. There's some functionality here. I'm not sure, the ROI, there's that old notion. You're noticed if you're not at these events. So there is some amount of sunk costs that you have to do, but the booth costs now that again, and then on top of that, the team you've got to bring in to work the booth, to manage it, the money you're spending for T&E and everything else, it's a huge amount of budget.
Yeah. The old thing about, you'd be noticed if you're not there. That's one of the things I call bullshit on, there's 3,600 vendors in cybersecurity. I think the right number this year of vendors at RSA is less than 500. And no one's sitting there going, well, these people aren't here and these people aren't here and these people, it's not like that at all.
I'm not even sure if you walked around the exhibit hall, you would realize who you didn't find.
You would just presume they're there, but you never found it.
You never walked by them. Yeah. It's so big and it's so confusing. I walked through it again yesterday. I got turned around twice.
Okay. Yeah. What's a bigger waste of time? Sitting in traffic in San Francisco on a Wednesday afternoon or reading the sales advice on LinkedIn?
I don't know. I think there might be more sales advice on LinkedIn than there is traffic in San Francisco.
Is that possible?
There's some amazing folks on LinkedIn and there's some amazing tidbits you get. And I will admit I freely go there and there's some folks like yourself that I love to watch and follow and pick up some great things and tidbits from. There is also a lot of noise and it's sometimes very difficult to find through and to comb through the noise. And what I've seen, what I always tell my teams and when I'm coaching is you've got to find a few handful of folks that you trust, leverage what networks they have, and go from there, right? It's just like in selling. And CISOs do the same thing. If they reach out to their network of folks that they trust, and honestly, that's where they end up getting a lot of the vendor recommendations that they go for. Yeah. And it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then final question for you. Perhaps the most important one of today. Do you believe that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce will make it through the postseason?
No, Andrew, the right question is, do I care?
Well, we presume that no one really cares.
I don't know. They're doing good for each other's careers.
Yeah, that's true.
So they've got...
Does that make you a cynic, though? Or
it kind of does.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. But I think it would be, maybe it would be more detrimental for them to not be together. But as they say, there is no such thing as bad PR, right? So regardless of which direction they go, maybe they'll be happy. But
so yes or no?
Don't care.
Don't care. Well, Mike, listen, as always, a pleasure chatting to you. Enjoyed driving for you for this brief time, and I wish you and the team every success for the RSA conference, what's left of it, and also for the rest of the year too.
Appreciate it, Andrew. And again, thank you for the amazing ride in the Cybertruck. You've been a great host. And as always, I love what you do, and I look forward to the next time.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mike.